So this is Jog. You were right. Do not trust him.
Nice.
Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and I'm trapped in the vast echo chamber of the TV, but I don't know it, so please don't tell me. And this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in Skeleton Crew, Episode 5. This episode is titled, You Have a Lot to Learn About Pirates, which, like other episode titles, is taken directly from a character's quote.
You have a lot to learn about pirates.
But it's also foreshadowing the ending when Jod puts his old-timey cutlass to Fern's throat and proves that he is more than just a figurative cutthroat pirate. I also like the parallel story in this episode about the parents at Atten is also showing them learning to be pirates and break the laws of their world. But I'll talk about theories about that world a little bit later in the video. And as always, guys, be sure to check out our merch store for special discounts on all the merch we design ourselves. And later in the video, we have a sneak peek of our brand new live show tour, which now is like a Pee-wee's Playhouse for nerds, where the ScreenCrush store lands in a city near you with special guests, exclusive breakdowns, and a meet and greet with me and the ScreenCrush team. So in this opening scene with Wem's dad, notice the music. So I love how it's all structured to be very orderly to reflect their office environment, but also these high strings give us a sense of dread, like we're in a horror movie. Now we've been theorizing for a while that Atten is actually run by machines, and this machine-like score with its underlying horror seems to be supporting that idea. We get another parallel between the parents and the kids when the droid treats the adult like he is a child.
So what are you hiding behind your back?
Which, by the way, is similar to Wem doing this later in the episode.
What are you doing, boy?
They're attempting to get a code to break through the barrier, which tells us that the people on this planet not only know that their world is supposed to be a secret, but ordinarily, they're just fine with keeping that secret. Anything to aid in the great work. So in this scene, we see several Ithorians in the background here, and also tons of other species in the spa later on. Back on the Onyx Sender, the kids have 33 tied down with old-timey ropes, like the rigging you would find on an old-timey pirate ship. So this is one of many callbacks to classic pirate serials that we're going to talk about as we go along. Then we learn about Ja NanaWood, who is kind of like the Blackbeard in the Star Wars galaxy.
And that, it's a teeny tiny version of this ship.
And I want to give a big shout out to Kevin Erdman over at Screen Rant, who caught a lot of really cool deep cut Easter eggs in his Easter egg article. He pointed out that in Star Wars Legends there was another pirate king named Zim the Despot, and that Rennod could be a new version of Zim. But as we'll see later on, he also has a connection to the Nihil from the High Republic, and this connection made me jump out of my chair. When Jod tells the story of Rennod, it's a lot like Mikey telling the story of One-Eyed Willie in the Goonies.
He told me that One-Eyed Willie and his bunch were down there for 5-6 years, and they were digging all these tunnels and caves, setting booby traps.
Booby traps.
What's the Goonies? Well, The Goonies is an 80s kids adventure movie that is a major inspiration for this show, and this episode features many of the same plot points from that movie. There's a hidden pirate sanctuary with booby traps set by pirates. Also in The Goonies, there's a group of crooks called the Fratellis who follow the kids into the pirate caves, just like how Captain Brutus and his crew follow the kids in this episode. The old legend of the pirate ship disappearing is also very much like One-Eyed Willie's ship in The Goonies, but this is also the kind of story that real-life sailors have been talking about for centuries, spinning yarns about the Bermuda Triangle and other magical phenomena at sea. But the Star Wars galaxy is also filled with stories like this, like the lost automated fleet that Thrawn found in Timothy Zahn's novel Dark Force Rising.
Jeez.
Oh, what is it, buddy?
Nothing. You don't want to hear about my stupid problems.
Well, sure I do. Are you sad Christmas is over?
I missed Christmas? Jeez. No, I'm sad because I got a New Year's resolution to get smarter, but I'm such a big dum-dum.
No, you're not, buddy. In fact, I have the same resolution. I want to get smarter and learn new things. So I spend a few minutes every morning learning math, science, and computer science. Like, these are all things that I was terrible at in school, but now that I'm older, I actually want to understand how the world works. I want to know how the internet works.
It's a bunch of mice on a wheel. Everybody knows that. I mean, how could you possibly learn these new skills?
Actually, Doug, I can learn math, science, and computer programming with Brilliant, the sponsor of this video. With Brilliant, you have access to thousands of interactive lessons in math, data analysis, and programming, and AI. If you want to learn something like coding, they have short, simple lessons that are filled with hands-on problem solving, not by listening to some lecture drone on and on. In addition to learning about math and science and AI, you can even learn things like how to calculate how much rent to charge for an Airbnb. So much of what I've learned on Brilliant has had these great real-world applications, which makes these subjects come to life for me. Now, Brilliant has also taught me new problem-solving skills that have made me better at my job. And believe me, I have to analyze a lot of Google Analytics, so I've learned how to visualize data, which used to always intimidate me, but Brilliant makes learning easier. See, the trick is, I do a little bit of learning every morning. I have my cup of coffee, and instead of doom scrolling, I do a few lessons. Learning and practicing math is something I never thought I would enjoy, but Brilliant's lessons feel more like puzzles, and they're very soothing. Or you can do them on your morning commute, or just when you have downtime in the bathroom.
What you people do in there, I will never understand.
Like I said, you can use Brilliant to learn theoretical concepts or to actually get real hands-on knowledge of programming. You can use their applied courses in Python programming languages, creative coding, and more. Or you could learn general science or something specific like how large language models work. So to start your New Year's resolution and try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/ScreenCrush or scan the QR code on screen or click our link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. It is so much fun and you will not regret giving Brilliant a try. Now back to Skeleton Crew. So now that we pretty much know the secret of At-Aten, the show's other big mystery, who is Jude Law's character, is offering more hints. In this episode, he warns Wim against attachments, which sounds like something a rogue like maybe DJ would say.
Live free, don't join.
But it's also a key tenet of Jedi philosophy. And this line,
Your focus determines your reality.
is lifted straight from a lesson that Qui-Gon Jinn gave Anakin in The Phantom Menace.
Your focus determines your reality.
In hindsight, it was terrible advice. Anakin let his focus on Padme determine how he saw the world, and that caused his fall to the dark side. And then we get the pirate lair, which has been brilliantly transformed into a tourist destination spa. In an episode filled with great laughs, I think this line was one of my favorites.
It goes by many names. The Demon's Rest, Battle World, Lenupa.
This is also funny because this is what happened in real life. The exploits of pirates have been turned into tourist attractions at places like Disney World. Now they know something is up when we see a pleasure yacht, kind of similar to the ships we saw at Canto Bight in Last Jedi, and also like the one that was retrofitted into the Mantis in the Fallen Order games. The spa attendant is played by Julie Ann Emery, who you might recognize from Better Call Saul.
And you know what? Let's really have fun with this one, okay, Kettle Team?
And notice that when Ja unveils the children as the elders, he says they are from Bratriarch, because to him, they are little brats. Now when they land, we see an astromech droid, and throughout the spa, we see several Star Wars species. Now most of these I caught, but big shout out to MattTrack1000 on Twitter for catching some of these very deep-cut background ones. We of course see a Mon Cala and a Bith, and appropriately many aliens from the Canto Bight Casino in The Last Jedi. That scene also showed us the galaxy's wealthiest at their most indulgent, so this was like the perfect Easter eggs for this episode. So this is a Swearton, a Trogoth feeding this hut before he becomes a snack.
Oh, no, sir, not again. No, please, no, not again.
And there's this unidentified species, also from The Last Jedi, and this species in the mud bath is also from the deleted spa scene in The Last Jedi, so you see it all fits. And of course, this species is your mom. Now, like I said earlier, there are lots of other background species that are unidentified, so check out MattTrack on Twitter for an exhaustive list of all of those unidentified aliens. The security guards are wearing helmets similar to the Rebel Alliance and New Republic troopers because, after all, that is
Just style at the time.
They outfit 33 with a restraining bolt, like the one we first saw the Jawas place on R2 and C-3PO in A New Hope. And then we hear that the banking clan is at the spa for a conference. Now, we first saw the banking clan in Attack of the Clones here.
The banking clan will sign your treaty.
Now, this species is called a Mun. We see them in the mud baths later on, and they are from planet Scipio, named after a Roman general. This is how the security guard works out that Jod is lying later on.
Professor Umium Gorlox of Scipio. Run!
And I want to remind you guys that we did see another Mun, Darth Plagueis, cameo in The Acolyte earlier this year. Then they're approached by Biscuit, Pocket, whatever, and she is played by Kelly MacDonald, who you may know from Boardwalk Empire, and of course she is the voice of Merida in Brave. Now, with her white skin, white hair, and white eyes, I'm guessing she is an Arcanian, but she could also be the same species as Orla Jareni, a Jedi Wayseeker from the High Republic era. Now, this won't be the last High Republic Easter egg we see in this episode. We hear mention of a Bacta soak, and Bacta is of course the healing liquid that we first saw in The Empire Strikes Back, and we hear a couple old school slang words.
Don't trust this Slimo.
Which is what Anakin called Sebulba in The Phantom Menace.
Just scrawny dough pot, Slimo.
And when they see the sweet, we hear
Wizard,
which is what Kitster called Anakin's pod.
this is so wizard, Annie.
Well, I guess they finally made Wizard happen.
I guess so. So Pocket sells out Jod to Captain Brutus, who, as we mentioned in our episode 1 breakdown, is a Shistovanian, a werewolf-like species that originally appeared in A New Hope before George Lucas swapped him out with a CGI alien for the special edition. They split up and we meet a Cthulhu, a giant monster with a love of story time that is probably based on the Lovecraftian monster Cthulhu. Oh, and also, this was another line that made me laugh.
Step away from the wise elders and raise your hands.
Now, just like in the Goonies, they travel into the pirate caves and find clues and booby traps at the pirate set. Now, in the Goonies, for instance, we saw a piano with sheet music for Andy to play. and here it's a vat of acid with runes that KB has to translate. Shout out again to Kevin Erdman at Screen Rant for his observation that the runes are, quote, Ur-Kitat, also known as the Old Tongue, which has been shown in previous Star Wars projects, along with its Sith Tongue variant. Now, we saw a lot of this language on the ancient planet Peridia in the show Ahsoka, and reading this inscription is very much like the challenges that we saw Indiana Jones go through in The Last Crusade.
Only in the leap from the lion's head will he prove his worth.
And the pirate hideout reminded me so much of One-Eyed Willie's ship in the Goonies. Even the way that Ja warned them,
Don't touch anything.
is similar to Mikey's warning about Willie's gold.
That's Willie's. Save that for Willie. Anything else?
And that gold also set off a booby trap, just like Rennod's traps in this episode. So this is where we get into some really interesting theories about Rennod and his connection to the Nihil. And I'm going to throw out a theory about why we don't see his face in this scene. So the High Republic novels and comics and books take place hundreds of years before the original trilogy. It was a period of peace and expansion for the Republic when the Jedi were also at their height. Then they are challenged by a huge group of marauding space pirates called the Nihil, led by a man named Marchion Ro. Now the Nihil are known for many things, including wearing masks, like the huge mask that is a centerpiece to the throne room. And their symbol is two lines that create a lightning bolt, very similar to the symbol of Captain Rennod that we see here. Now, even though the High Republic books are still telling an ongoing story, we do know that the Nihil are eventually defeated because it's mentioned in the short story The Veteran by Adam Lance Garcia from the book Return of a Jedi from a Certain Point of View. But it's also possible that the Nihil didn't just go extinct, but they evolved. They splintered, and some of their number formed their own pirate groups, adapting some of the Nihil iconography. This would make sense because the Nihil symbol was originally three wavy lines used by a cult called the Path of the Open Hand that was later repurposed into the Nihil lightning bolt. So I think that this High Republic connection is made obvious by the lightsaber in this room. Notice it's gold and silver, colors favored by the Jedi in the High Republic era. And this one looks very much like the protection and defense lightsaber that you can build at the Galaxy's Edge theme park, which is a High Republic era saber. Marchion Ro also captured lightsabers from fallen Jedi that he killed, so it stands to reason that when the Nihil splintered, some of these lightsabers would have been passed down to various lieutenants. So then we see the hologram of Captain Rennod, and I was wondering, why don't we see his face? I mean, we do see that he's got kind of an old-timey pirate hat, but for some reason his real identity is obscured.
Is he a Sith?
No. I think the captain is actually the droid 33.
Now, do you say right now?
I think 33 was built by the pirates to always serve as a captain, so then none of the other pirates would ever be tempted by the pirates' code to fight one another, and they programmed 33 to never know that he was the real captain. So this would also fall in line with how we see humans continuously outsmart the droids, like Carrie Condon's character does earlier in the episode.
Delete all records of this incident. Power yourself down.
So in this case, 33 could actually be an old Nihil relic, and the other pirates would follow his word because he was part of the greatest group of pirates that ever roamed the galaxy, the Nihil. The Arabesh in the hologram here, of course, reads At Aten, and notice we see that same Atari-like symbol that we've seen represent this planet in earlier episodes. And then we learn At Aten's true purpose. It was a mint, a place where the Republic created their money, a source of potentially unlimited wealth.
Well, then the joke's on Ja, because everybody knows that the more money you create, the less it's worth. He's just gonna devalue his currency and create inflation across the galaxy.
Yeah, man, I love when Star Wars talks about space finance. High five. Ja's heel turn is actually terrifying.
I invoke my right to challenge the captain as per the code.
What? The challenge is thrown!
And deep down, it taps into every child's greatest fear, that the adults they trust are actually going to hurt them. But since this is a show for kids, I like that the horror of this moment was undercut by one of the funniest gags I've ever seen in Disney Star Wars. When Whim ignites Chekhov's lightsaber. Now, I'm still not convinced that Jad is a Force user. He could be using magnets to attract metal to his hands, like Kumail Nanjiani's character does in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Otherwise, he probably would have used the Force against 33 last episode. But then again, if he left the Order as a child, maybe he can't do much more than move objects and recite those old Jedi teachings like the one we talked about earlier. Well guys, that was another fun ScreenCrush video for another perfect day here in the ScreenCrush universe. Gosh, I love you guys, I love our fans, and I love my job.
Yeah, it sure is great being us.
I hate that ScreenCrush and Ryan Airy. You see, I, Paul from the Heavy Spoilers channel, I also hate small dogs because obviously I'm a bad person. Now I know something that's really going to get them. I'm going to send them to a far away, far distant city where they can never come back. I'm sending them to
Los Angeles, California.
Well, I don't know, boss. That seems kind of mean.
Shut up or I'll give you a fresh one. Now activate the Destructo Beam.
That's right, guys. As a reminder, we are going on tour, and you can check out the link below for a special 20% off discount for our 8 shows next year. We're so excited about it. And another reminder, everybody, check out our link below to get started with Brilliant today. But what did you guys think of this episode? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below or at me on Twitter, Threads, or Blue Sky. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.